News, we understand that the White House is on lockdown after reports of shots fired near the North Lawn. People on the White House grounds are sheltering in place. The Secret Service is tweeting that a man has shot himself. The president has been briefed. Of course, he is in Mar-a-Lago, heading back to Washington, at least before all of this, earlier in the day, we've been reporting. So CNN White House producer Noah Gray is on the phone with us. So Noah, what can you tell us about this shooting, the lockdown, everything?
Yes, hey, so what we're hearing right now is a law enforcement sources is telling me that someone in front of the north fence line of the White House a little before 12 o'clock today shot themselves. Now, Secret Service is now putting out a statement on Twitter saying Secret Service personnel are responding to reports of a person who allegedly suffered a self-inflicted gunshot wound along the north fence line of the White House. And Deputy Press Secretary Hogan Gidley tells CNN's Liz Landers that they are aware of the incident. The president has been briefed, and they refer to Secret Service for any more information. Now, the president is not at the White House right now. The president is down in Florida, making his way back to Washington later this afternoon for the gridiron dinner this evening. But at this point, we don't have much more information on whether the person is deceased. It appears that there isn't any ongoing threat, but as you reported, the White House is on lockdown still. D.C. police tell me that they're responding for the reports of a shooting in the 1600 block of Pennsylvania Avenue, but we're hearing from Secret Service at this point that it was from a self-inflicted gunshot wound, and they are saying that there were no further injuries in the incident. So we will be monitoring the situation for you, and we will get back to you once we know something more.
So just for a little clarity, Noah, so when you say on the North Lawn, are we talking inside the fence, which would be inside White House property, North Lawn, or are we just saying on the opposite side of that fence, public space?
No, so obviously there's a security perimeter to get into the White House. You have to go through Secret Service magnetometers. On the north fence of the White House, there's the normal fence, and then there's a bike rack about 5-6 feet in front of that. So lately, when we've been hearing about White House fence jumpers, a lot of them have not been making it to the actual fence. It's just been the bike rack barricade in front of that fence. It does not sound like this person was inside of the White House. It was in front of the north fence line on the Pennsylvania Avenue side. The exact positioning is still unclear at this point, but from what it sounds like, from what law enforcement sources are telling me, it does not sound like there was any breach into the White House. That would obviously be more significant. At this point, it sounds like it was just an isolated incident of one person shooting themselves outside the north fence line. But again, we're still trying to get some more information here.
We're also joined right now on the phone by CNN law enforcement analyst and former Secret Service agent Jonathan Whitehouse. So, Jonathan, give me an idea. This is one of the most complicated and among most important of assignments for Secret Service. They're at the White House. And especially on weekends, you've got a heck of a lot more traffic around the White House with tourists, etc. But a situation like this, that Secret Service, we understand, have had to respond to with a self-inflicted gunshot wound of at least one individual. Give us an idea, a thumbnail sketch of what kind of response, how Secret Service would be responding to something like this happening.
Absolutely. Listen, these incidents are unpredictable and dynamic. The Secret Service trains for shots fired situations around the White House constantly. So they're very well prepared, well equipped to mitigate this type of incident. So upon notification that shots are fired, they first try to ascertain whether it's coming from the north ground or south ground. Once they know where the shots are fired from, responding elements, including uniformed division officers, emergency response teams, that's the White House tactical teams from the uniformed division. They will also respond to the threat. In conjunction to that, what we've seen and what has been reported is that the White House goes into a lockdown procedure, just very similar to what a lot of the talking points lately have been around school shootings. When there's an active shooter or shooting situation in the vicinity of the White House, it's better just to lock everybody down, shelter everybody in place. Again, even though the president is not there, the White House remains at a very high state of security posture. So they want to make sure that this isn't a coordinated attack. Again, in the infancy of the situation, we don't know if this is somebody that was trying to commit suicide, somebody who was trying to come over the fence, somebody who's trying to launch an attack, was it a coordinated attack, or whatever. So again, there's certain protocols and procedures that the White House, as a security condition, elevates, and there are certain protocols that come into play.
And then what about widening the perimeter, of security around the White House? Already there are lots of measures, as Noah was describing, bike racks, around the White House and the White House property. But when you have an incident like this, does it mean even shutting down a number of streets around it just to, control the crowd?
Exactly. So what, again, this is the security posture at the White House is based off of concentric rings of protection that go outward from the White House. Again, we don't know what caused this incident, so we don't know if this was if this was an attack. Is there a secondary attack? Is there somebody else involved? So the Secret Service, by protocol, will go ahead and, again, for the safety of the public, push the public back. This incident happened on the north ground, so they'll push the public back beyond Lafayette Park. They will stop vehicular traffic from coming in and around the White House, again, as a safety measure to ensure that there's, one, that the public is safe, and that they're, mitigate any secondary attacks if it was an attack.
All right, Jonathan Wackrow, thank you so much. We understand the president has been briefed. CNN's Boris Sanchez in Florida traveling with the president. Okay, we're going to check back with him. But meantime, Jonathan, let me ask you, we're looking at a live shot right now. You see a number of, law enforcement. Is this a case in which, Metro Police, Secret Service, Park Police, everyone ends up working together in a circumstance like this?
Absolutely. This is because of where this is. It's actually a multi-jurisdictional issue. You do have the United States Secret Service there. You have D.C. Metro Police. You have Park Police. Again, the interoperability amongst all of these law enforcement agencies is critical here. And anytime that there's a crisis situation, so all of these law enforcement agencies are going to work in conjunction and well coordinated through the Joint Operational Command Center of the White House to ensure that all the roles and responsibilities to responding to a crisis are followed. They'll set up an on-site incident command where all of the supervisors and supervisory management of all of these different agencies come together. Again, this is something that's practiced. It's well coordinated. And I think that in this incident, we see the instant action of all of these law enforcement agencies coming together to put down this situation pretty quickly.